It's Dan Bach of Rotogrinders and ScoresAndOdds.com here to tell you about this incredible sportsbook offer for our friends out there in the state of Virginia over at William Hill. Make sure you use that promo code GrindersRF or hit the link here in this description or this tweet, because William Hill is offering new customers a risk-free wager up to $2,021. One of the biggest I've ever seen in terms of promotional offers. So make sure you take advantage of that. And it's for new customers only after you make deposit. And the way it works is your first bet will be a risk-free wager up to that $2,021. If you hit the bet, great, gonna get those winnings. If you don't, they're gonna refund you and allow you to make another wager of that same amount. And this promo runs through the end of February, so not a lot of time left for you to get in on this. Now, since it's a risk-free wager, the best thing that we can do is try to extrapolate the most money from this, because we know that if it doesn't hit, we're going to get another chance. So we like to be a little bit more risky on our wagers when it's risk-free, and that's why I'm looking at the golf tournament coming up this weekend out in Bradenton, Florida. And two wagers I'm going to suggest for you guys here is going to be Victor Hovland at 25-1, yields upwards of $52,000 if he would win this tournament outright. He's been playing really well. Top 5 last week, top 6, top 2, top 31 his last 4 tournaments, and also has a win this year on the tour. So really like him at those odds. And then Rory Mcilroy as well. Missed the cut last week, but back in his home state of Florida, where he's had a ton of success at other tracks, including the Arnold Palmer and the Players. And he comes in at 16-1, so that return is right around $34,000 if he would hit. And remember, if they don't win, it's okay. It's risk-free. You get another wager you can make. Maybe be a little bit more cautious with that one. Well, check it out. It's over at William Hill for customers in the state of Virginia, and you can find them also in their app form, where you can find more details on this great promo. Just make sure you use GrindersRF when you sign up.
What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here at Dean78904. If you want to get all technical on me, it is 6:30. 6:30. It's 6:30 on the East Coast, 3:30 on the West Coast, 5:30 Tennessee time. Of course, I'm just time of the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, Nickelback stan, Kid Rock stan, Steven Seagal stan, Top Shot stan. Maybe it's Grant Eber. You know him from such things earlier today. If you guys might have caught the Supergraph show, you've been specializing in that. Of course, we have the chat asking us questions on, Devin, our producer, jumps on later in the, in the program. And hey, if you guys happen to have some super draft questions, I assume, Grant, you're able to handle those. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, any super draft questions, like things haven't changed drastically since the morning, but yeah, any super draft questions you got, it's pretty cut and dry on today's slate. There's like 20 different players to play, and that's really pretty much it. Yeah.
And why is that? Just explain it. Give a 30 seconds on it. It's not to sponsor the show, but I figured.
It's all based on multipliers, and like today's slate in particular, like you get Westbrook and Lillard at 1.2 and 1.25, and Beal at 1.3x multiplier. Like the guys that LeBron's at a 1.1x multiplier. So you're just looking for 60 points out of virtually anyone you're going to roster, and there's only like 20 people that could conceivably get there. So unless you're really going off the board, it's mostly just the same guys.
Yeah, it's essentially math there, obviously. And I don't know, how often do you do that show? I know it comes out around 1 o'clock or so Eastern time. I've seen it pop up on occasion. Is it a weekday thing? Is it a couple days a week or what?
We're running it Monday, Wednesday, Friday right now. So yeah, it's generally quick show, anywhere from 15 to 35 minutes. Like goes over the entire thing.
One more reason to like and subscribe as far as the YouTube channel.
Have you liked it today? Because I am liking it right now. Boom.
Feel like, is that weird? Do you like your own? You don't feel strange doing that?
No. Why would I do that?
I don't know. It just seems like an odd thing to do. But all right, yeah, go ahead. I mean, you don't have the dislike button, but you can just. But I guess you want to help out the analytics. You got to put the analytics out there. Hey, we talked about that. If the chat's unaware, if this is our first time at the show, welcome. We're talking NBA DFS 6-gamer for the next 50 minutes or so. Of course, we hand you guys off to Crunch Time for premium members. If you guys aren't a premium member, hey, why not get yourself premium content for $10 off the first month? You can do that with a la carte, just one sport. You can do it with all the sports. Devin, again, multitasking producer, is going to go ahead and drop that link in chat for you guys. Again, $10 off your first month. All the sports with the exception of NASCAR. Or you can just do one sport, whatever your favorite happens to be. And more likely than not, it's probably basketball because, hey, you are here. You want to know who's in and who's out, Grant? That's important tonight.
No, I don't want to.
Why do you never want to know this? This is like a super important. Are you on mute? What's going on over there? You're like doing a Max Headroom thing.
I was making a joke that I was going to mute you because I don't want to hear you speak.
Oh, well, that would be rude.
It's called comedy.
Oh, well. The key with comedy is you don't have to explain the comedy because then it's probably not comedy.
Oh, it is. You're just a fool.
Well, you know what? Know your audience. All right. Body parts. Who's in and who's out? Al Horford's got an old body, so he cannot play this evening. He's going to rest. Houston, Victor Oladipo still out with his foot. Christian Wood's got an ankle, so he can't play. Boogie Cousins is out with a heel. I'm doing air quotes, by the way. That's comedy. No, he's not. Like, they're just going to trade him, right? Like, he was questionable. He's not playing, right? Whatever. He's not playing, and they're getting rid of him. I don't know why they have to give him an injury tag. Like, who they kidding? They clearly hated playing the entire time the last couple weeks or so.
Yeah, well, they got PJ Tucker playing the 5 now. Isn't that beautiful?
Tell me about this PJ Tucker. I'm looking forward to talking about him.
I hear he'll get like 35 minutes.
Well, I'm told minutes equal money. Is that true, or not all minutes created equal?
I've heard they're not all created equal.
And how are PJ Tucker's minutes created?
I believe the dumpster fire emoji is enough to explain him.
Oh man, yeah, it's he's going to eke his way to 17 or something like that. Brow, Anthony Davis is not playing basketball this evening, as is Dennis Schroeder. Or Dennis Schroeder is not playing basketball. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable with his back. First game back for Dallas in 8 days, and it's the front end of a back-to-back too. All those reasons, I think, like, he's probably not going to play both games. I assume he doesn't play tonight. We shall see. That's just my guess. That is game 2 on the slate. I believe it starts at 8:30 or a half hour after the first game. Yeah. Also, back-to-back stuff, that's important. Front end, Dallas, Washington, and Portland. Back end, OKC. Everybody else has the island games. Tyler Hero, questionable with his hip. Of course, the Dragon, Goran Dragic, is not playing either, so none could become a thing. Dylan Brooks is not available to play. He's out with a thigh, and Devontae Graham is doubtful with his knee. We're going to bring Keach on shortly. Well, I guess in about 10 minutes so from the projection team, lineup HQ team here at RG, a bunch of guys that work on it. He pops on and kind of steers, brings some clarity to what we're seeing as far as some minutes. What do you think is most important as far as monitoring who's in and who's out? Obviously, the Hero one and the Porzingis one. That's what I'm saying. What say you?
Yeah, that's pretty much the main two. I mean, that, like, Porzingis being out, that definitely opens up some value on a slate where we want to play LeBron, we want to play Luca. Also might give a little bit of an uptick to Luca. And then, yeah, Hero, like, all the guards get more in play. So it's Hero and Porzingis are really the main two that I'm monitoring. I'm not going to be surprised if we get some random horrible news. But yeah, at this point, it's really just those two guys are the main question marks that are really going to make a difference to the slate.
Yeah, like, for sure, some news can come down, and that's kind of one of my quandaries right now, because the first game is always a game that, like, there's a bunch of guys that are pretty interesting. Chicago versus Houston, 226.5 is the total. I want to say 2 of the top 4 or 5 fastest teams in all of basketball. Yeah, Chicago's number 3, Houston's number 4. Yeah, so the total is justified there at 226.5. Defensively, we're not right. I know Houston's been better since Harden, has left, but they're also still not like this great defensive stalwart, and they're without Oladipo as well too, as a pretty solid defender. So it just feels like a really, really strong matchup. The one I want to talk about, and I'm curious what SBK has to say about it too. And well, the 2 key studs, you got LeBron without Davis versus Washington. It's just an incredible perfect storm. That is the night slate. That is the night game, 10 o'clock. And just for me, for that reason, I have him ahead of Luca. In theory, I'd like to get both. I don't know if I can, because the value is pretty weak at this point. If you can only pick one of the studs, all things are equal as far as ownership and all that. They'll delve into that as the show progresses. I prefer LeBron over Luca, and I'll tell you another reason why. I guess I kind of hinted at it already, but what say you as far as LeBron versus Luca? You can only have one.
If I can only have one, if we're not taking into account ownership, it's 100% LeBron. I do think Luca as a tournament pivot is not a terrible idea. We currently have him pegged for 20% ownership, which I feel like people probably, it's not going to be that high owned in my opinion, but I don't know. I don't do the projections. I think it's going to be lower owned than that. But yeah, if I'm picking, it's definitely Luca over LeBron. I mean, LeBron over Luca when you incorporate ownership.
I have DK ownership up in front of me. We currently have LeBron at 41 and Luca at 20%. And yeah, there's definitely some moving parts that still need to fall. And, obviously the closer we get to lock, the more accurate these projections become. The Luca thing is like, again, it's their first game in 8 days. It's the front of a back-to-back. I know he's young and they're never afraid to push him, but I could see him playing 34 or 35 minutes instead of 36 minutes, which doesn't sound like anything really, but that does matter. But of course, if Porzingis doesn't play, then all of a sudden his usage goes up. So he's still a really, really strong play. He's a good play no matter what. It goes up in the absence of Porzingis, the potential absence. We don't know just yet. But again, we live in the world with salary cap, and the cheapies are pretty bad. If Porzingis doesn't play, then all of a sudden we're looking at, WCS, Willie Cauley-Stein. But they have plenty of options for what it's worth. They have Powell there, they have Boban there, and I'm not saying you play those guys, but I'm just kind of thinking the minute squeeze. And then, I guess Maxi Kleber would probably get bumped up to maybe 30 minutes or so. All this stuff we'll talk to Keach. I'm sure they have a contingency plan dependent upon Porzingis being out. And that kind of leads to the conversation of PJ Tucker on DK. That's the first game out the gate, 3.5K. He's going to have to play a ton of minutes. He's a horrible per minute guy, but he is super cheap. Yeah, so like maybe we're talking about PJ Tucker versus Maxi Kleber versus like WCS. And if we get that Porzingis news, I don't know how much we need Tucker. That's sort of where I'm at. None of that feels good to me, for the record. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not terribly happy. I think, like we talked a little bit before the show, I think that you can go with Justice Winslow. Like it's like cheap plays are trash today. Like that's just what it is. You're not terribly happy about all of them, but the upside for pretty much everyone at the top tier is just through the roof. So like, yeah, I'm honestly going to probably play a bit of Justice Winslow today, just because like the usage was there in the last game. I know it's a different situation, more players are here, but he took 14 shot attempts. He didn't do great, but he shot the ball a lot, which, I mean, I'd take 14 shot attempts from Justice Winslow over 35 minutes from PJ Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, I would bet the under on 14 shots, but I know what you're saying. And like, we don't know how many minutes he's going to play. That was his first game back, this year. He barely played last year. I guess I don't think he ever played for Memphis. Like he was traded from Miami, and I don't think he ever played a game. I think it was his first game ever as a member of the Grizz. We got him projected for 22 minutes. And again, that's a kind of a tricky thing because, well, Memphis has hard rotations to predict as is. But that last game, like you're referring to, Allen didn't play and Clark didn't play. And I think somebody else also didn't play in that game. Maybe it was Melton. And I'm looking at our minutes projection for Memphis right now, and it's just a mess. We have 11 guys projected for minutes. Even Contra's got 4, and who knows if he's going to play or not. Obviously not playing him, but you're trying to figure out the minutes there. And outside of John Morant, even like Valanciunas is getting his minutes squeezed. Like he gets like 28, 29. He's not really getting the 30. In theory, he would smash if he does, and he can get there in 28 or 29 minutes. But just the Memphis rotations overall, it's just a mess. If Brandon Clark can get to 28 or 29, he's a really good play, but it's hard to project him for more than 24 or 25. I just don't know what to do with this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's Morant and Winslow for me. Like those are the two guys that I want to play. Morant, I think, is going to come in a little bit lower ownership because of John Wall being pretty much the same price tag and being in a much better spot. Can Morant outscore Wall by a bunch? Yeah, he can. Like Wall can have a bad game, but like it's mostly just in play for tournaments. Like, and then Justice Winslow is strictly so that you can pay up for the big price guys on today's slate because I want to. So, like, I'm hoping that some value for some reason opens up soon. But as of right now, like, yeah, that's just the reason why. Like, you don't want to play Valanciunas. Like, he's fine. He's not great, but I'd rather go with Gobert. Going up against Charlotte, great matchup. So, like, it's a weird night, but it's a pretty darn good night.
Yeah, so it's funny. You mentioned Gobert, and I think Gobert's got a pretty good price too. But one of them, dollar for dollar, and again, your budget's getting squeezed tonight. Let me go ahead and pull this up as far as our point per dollar, because I'm pretty sure Okay, yeah. So this is DK specific for what it's worth. Gobert's number one as far as fantasy point per dollar, which is something you don't really see for a guy at 7.4K, but that price is pretty positive. They've been blowing so many teams out. Utah's been fabulous, good for them. And I'm curious what they do with Conley. If he gets a couple extra minutes, he came back from injury. I think he only played 25 or so. I wonder what we have him projected for, probably 27 or 28. But Dennis Tucker, the one I really want to talk about again, and it's game one, and I wish it wasn't game one, Grant. It's Wendell Carter Jr., who even at 28-minute projection, which I think he can go beyond that in theory. Nice matchup here against Houston. I know Tucker's a banger, but that team overall is pretty undersized, not like a rebounding team. I think Carter's got a decent shot. Get yourself a cheap double-double. 5.3K on DK. We're seeing him at 27% ownership. How do you feel about Wendell Carter Jr.?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a guy that's in play. Like the price tag's a little bit too cheap considering he does have some upside going against PJ Tucker. He has played decently well without Markkanen in there. So it's just like, I know that we've seen PJ Tucker play the five many times, but it's just always something that you kind of want to target there. So yeah, Carter is definitely on the list. I think you can take a shot on Roby at 4.9K. That Horford in there should see a decent amount of minutes. Like he can produce on a per minute basis well enough at his 4.9K price tag, a little bit better price tag over on FanDuel. But Roby, I think, is a guy that's in play. Montrezl, like it's a matchup versus Washington. Like he hasn't really been crushing too much. He's been a little hit or miss for the last few weeks, but he's going to get 25 minutes versus Washington. Like they can have a pretty decent matchup. So like in that price range, I think you have a few options. But yeah, like Gobert is probably my favorite center on today's slate. And there's really not a lot. I'm hoping Porzingis sits out because then I can just use my center spot for someone like WCS or like Kleber. Dean froze. All right. What do I talk about here? I don't know what to talk about. Dean is not with us. I don't know what he's doing, or he just has the same funny face. Now we just have to chat for who knows how long. Is Keach almost here yet? Well, what do I talk about? So let's just go from the top here. Start off with the top salary guys. Like we've already said, LeBron is the clear top play on the slate without Schroeder and Davis in there. He should be able to crush. We currently have him pegged for 62 fantasy points as his median projection there, has a ceiling of 80. So he's the guy that is going to be the most owned by a fairly large margin, but he's also the guy that's least likely to disappoint. He has a matchup versus Washington. I think it was Meansy actually said that Washington has been the second best defensive efficiency team over the last 5 games, but I'm not really buying into that small of a sample size. They're still a very fast-paced team, so LeBron is the clear guy, although Luca can go for 70, can go for 80. He's gone over 60 in 4 of the last 5 games. And he's hit the 70-point mark and the 80-point mark. Lillard makes an interesting tournament pivot. It's not a great matchup versus Phoenix. Obviously, they've been a little bit slower pace. They've been a little bit of a better defensive team this year. Chris Paul being in there definitely helps, and his price tag is a bit more than LeBron, but he can go for 70. He can go for 80 in any given game. He's been consistently going over 60 since McCollum's been out. His price tag is up there, but if you're just going off of pure leverage tournament play, he's only pegged for 11.3% ownership. So he's definitely a guy that you can go with. All right, Keach, how you doing there, my friend?
Doing well. How you boys doing?
Oh, Dean is nowhere to be found right now. We don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah, it's just you?
Huh? It's just me. Dean lost his internet, I think. So who knows? So yeah, for right now, it's just me. But yeah, we obviously got some news that we're waiting on, predominantly Porzingis and Hero. Like, what do you think? How do you think that's going to affect things? Like, what are you looking at with those situations? Go ahead and give us a breakdown here, my friend.
So we actually, so obviously, like you said, the biggest 2 pieces of news right now is Porzingis and Tyler Hero. So we do, for premium users, we do have what if projections for both of those situations. On the Dallas side, the big winners from him sitting, surprisingly, I think the biggest major upgrade would be Willie Cauley-Stein. Josh Richardson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith also would get upgrades along with Luca. But yeah, Luca probably would become, if he's not already, the top play on the slate. Still would have some interest in Josh Richardson, a little bit more than usual, and Tim Hardaway. Dorian Finney-Smith would also kind of step onto the radar. On the Miami side, if we do not have Hero, we did see Kendrick Nunn put up a great game against the Lakers on Saturday, but he's kind of, as you know, kind of all over the map. So kind of chasing his good games kind of seems like a dangerous proposition. But if we don't see Hero in the lineup, his upside's obviously spiked. Jimmy, Bam, obviously, regardless, really are great plays. Duncan Robinson might get a small upgrade if Hero sits, but that's not even really a huge upgrade there. So yeah, those are the two big situations right now.
Yeah, no. Are you thinking that Luca becomes a better play than LeBron if Porzingis fits or sits, or are you still more on the LeBron side?
That's a great question. I think the raw projection would probably be almost identical, and given that on DraftKings at least LeBron's $1K cheaper, that I think I'd probably still kind of lean slightly to the LeBron side. But man, I mean they're both fantastic plays. I don't know if we have enough value on this slate to possibly kind of get them both together. I don't know if you tried that yet, but they're both incredibly appealing. I think, gun to my head, given the salary difference, I'd probably give the slight nudge to LeBron, but it's very close. Yeah,
no, like the salary part, you get LeBron, but if you incorporate ownership, like we currently have Luca pegged for 20% compared to 41 for LeBron, so I think that is viable. Yeah, to play both, but it's just gonna get ugly. Yeah, like running the optimizer with both Luca and LeBron and locked in, then you end up with like THT, Muscala, Kleber, Winslow, Caruso, Maldon. Like it's doable, and it's something I may end up doing probably more on Super Draft just because I can do that easily. But yeah, it's a little bit tough to fit both of them into your lineup with the current value that we have.
I think we could see people I think a pretty popular build could just be one of those two, and then John Wall is like that, kind of step tier down stud that still allows you some flexibility with the rest of your lineup. But I could see that kind of be a pretty popular starting point for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I assume that almost everyone's going to be locking in one of Luca, LeBron, or Dame even, just because it's getting drastically less ownership. Yeah, trying to think of anything else to ask because Dean's still on here.
I have a question for you, actually. I have a question for you. What do you think? This is kind of a situation that I spent too much time on last night, is the Houston big situation. We obviously have it kind of projected as if PJ Tucker will see pretty much, hosting the majority of run at center. Justin Patton is a person that's alive and on the Rockets, and apparently somebody who could potentially kind of get some backup run. But I'm kind of curious to hear like what other people think about what they're going to do in terms of playing big. Like, is Tucker going to see 32, 34 minutes at center and they just play without, a true big beyond that? That's the situation I'm really kind of trying to monitor to see what they do in the first non-Cousins game.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is, like, we've seen this before in the past. Like, we've seen them just run Tucker for boatload of minutes at the 5. Like, Wendell Carter Jr. is not a great big man. He's not like a 7'3" guy. So PJ Tucker can hold his own going up against him. So I think that they're just going to run PJ Tucker at the 5 for 35 minutes, which I still don't think that makes him real appealing because he's still PJ Tucker. And you know what? Every time I play him, I get screwed. Every time I don't play him, I get screwed. So it's always a no-win with me. But I'm planning on fading PJ Tucker, and I am still expecting them to just run him at the 5 pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, it is kind of weird to see him with a opponent of almost 20% with a projection at 18.77 on DraftKings. Is kind of a weird optic there. But yeah, I mean, if he hits that pwn and he's 20% owned on the slate, I would definitely feel pretty good playing the fade on that.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely for fading PJ Tucker on every slate from now until he retires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still no Dean. This is gonna be fun show, guys. You go ahead and feel free to drop any questions in the chat, regardless of the subject. Taco Bell is getting a new chicken sandwich, so I can talk about that. It will be released in Nashville, so you two better go get it. Except for Devin, I forgot. Probably won't eat it. I don't know if I have any more questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want some company, I'll hang on here with you. But yeah, I'm surprised Dino. You can't get that house. You can't call in on his house line or something.
I mean, I can try. We can try calling him on my mobile phone at this moment and see how that works.
It's hilarious. I can't believe he even has a has a landline in 2021.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity. Like I've had multiple places just give me a package deal where you get home, phone, and internet. It becomes cheaper. Hey,
Right.
Dean, you're on
I had that same
speakerphone.
thing.
Oh, I was going to say something not suitable for air. You see, I'm going to I'm powering back up. I'm trying to get restarted here, but hey, what did I miss? Any body parts change?
No. Like I'm on the phone with SPK. He can hear you.
Oh,
What's up, Dino?
How are things, very well?
How we doing?
Yeah,
I'm doing good, man.
He can't hear you, SPK.
Oh shit. Well, Grant, have you talked about the? Have you gotten into the Memphis situation at all?
Hold on. I think I can join the show in a few minutes.
Nice. All right, we'll see you soon. Memphis, we haven't really talked about it too much. I mean, we went a little bit in depth, but obviously, like everyone's minutes are kind of being like limited, and like J Val's not going to get into 30 most likely. Clark is interesting if we can get up into high 20s. Don't know if that'll end up happening. So they just kind of have too many bodies. And there is my buddy Dino. Dean, come on.
Hello.
There he is. I'm not alone. All right, SPK. Dean, any questions for SPK before we leave?
Well, I don't know what you've already asked. Did you get it? Did you knock it all out or what?
I think so. I think pretty much. Like he asked us about the Memphis situation.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. You can summarize it. I don't want the people have already heard it. It's like this isn't a show for me. It's a show for the audience, you know. So yeah, I'm sure you guys crushed it, and I apologize on behalf of my internet. I don't know what's going on, but my home phone had nothing to do with it. I can guarantee you that much. But Keach, it's great to hear your voice, and you know, hopefully there's not too much shenanigans. We'll let you go. Grant, did anything change as far as who's in and who's out? I guess in the last few minutes or so, or not so much?
Gotten anything?
Dallas is going to let us know, right? Something goofy's going on in Dallas. I just feel like Porzingis doesn't play tonight. Did Keach like WCS if Porzingis doesn't play?
Yeah, he said WCS is probably getting the biggest uptick if Porzingis is out. So if Porzingis does get ruled out, they'll definitely be updating the whatever. And boom, Kristaps is out.
Look at that. I'm a prophet. I was all over that one. What is that worth?
It's not like you
Absolutely
haven't said
nothing.
it like 10 times this show already.
Say it again.
You've already talked about Porzingis.
Well, I didn't will it into existence. That's not how that works. It's not like Beetlejuice. It doesn't just pop up. Or I guess
it's like saying, "Oh, I told you it was going to be heads. I knew that coin flip. I nailed it."
Dude, I am not that guy. I would never say that. That's a preposterous thing. But
I mean, I'm that guy. I cleared.
You know, you don't have that ability, right? You're not that special.
Tell that to the guy that has won an outrageous amount of money on coin flips throughout the year.
Is that you?
Yes.
Are you 1 for 1 in the Super Bowl? A small sample size?
I'm like 5 for 7.
Who are you playing against?
I literally just bet at the Super Draft party like 5 random people, $100. I literally every single coin flip. I just start walking around the room. Who wants to bet?
That's so weird. It's such an odd thing to wager on. I mean, I prefer games of skill, unless you want to call it. You think it's a game of skill, the coin flip game?
I research the thumb ability of the reffing officiant.
You ever see the guy that studies the roulette wheel in Vegas? It's like, it's like 8 reds in a row, man.
Yeah.
Like I seen them with notepads. Hey, did you talk about the Mike and I fight yet? The promo, $50 off or $50 deposit bonus up to $50. Use the promo code Grinders. You got some winners for the people. I assume you didn't tell the people just yet, or no?
Yeah, I've not told them, and Devin, I'm
Look
sure is throwing that up on the screen. I got the more on LeBron James of 55.5 and more. It's a 2v2. More on Westbrook. Not terribly certain about Westbrook, but the 55.5 is drastically too low for LeBron, in my opinion. I think he hits that 70% of the time. So it's more about betting on the LeBron over than it is about the Westbrook one. They may have changed it around, but whatever LeBron's at, like whichever one that's in, you go with LeBron over anyone else.
So I think when I got cut off, I was in the middle of talking about the fringe Lakers, and I don't know who's going to get there. I can't tell you which one, but I feel like KCP is the safest one, and Caruso and THT are both interesting upside plays. Do you have they're all pretty cheap. They're facing Washington, obviously no Schroeder, no Davis. Kuzma, I like more on Fanduel. On DK, I just really can't justify that price. Do you have any thoughts? You mentioned Harold. I know you mentioned before, but he's kind of sort of priced what he should be. I don't mind him, but especially with WCS, especially on DK. You can roster 2 centers, but Willie Cauley-Stein at 3.2K, and presuming he starts, looks like a pretty good way to get to some value. Probably a better play than Tucker, who we were talking about before, a little bit cheaper. Tucker more minutes, but WCS obviously a better fantasy point per minute guy. Do you have a take as far as, because I think at least one of these guys gets there, one of KCP, Caruso or THT. I just don't have a good read on who it is, but I'm going to have some. I think that's the plan at least.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to split them out, whoever fits, because obviously slightly different price points, but not much. If I had to rank them, I'd go THT, Caruso, and then KCP as my favorite ones. Like, honestly, you can go with Marc Gasol. Like, he's been playing enough minutes recently. He can get you there at his price tag of 4.2K. But, like, none of them are really great. They're just all...
It's also the center position too for Gasol, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I don't like a ton of centers today.
Oh, okay. So you don't. I mean, I think WCS is a pretty solid play at center.
Yeah, I forgot that like definitely adds a whole lot to it. But like that's like, who are you paying up for at center outside of Gobert? Like, are you playing J-Bell?
Unlikely. I mean, I might play him on one lineup if he sort of fits, or if I'm making like a little mini game stack or something like that. But I'm probably saving money there. I was talking before about Wendell Carter. I feel pretty good about him tonight against Houston. I think you got a decent shot to get yourself a cheap double-double. I like him on Fanduel too. I think on both sides he's pretty reasonable. Again, WCS, I think it's a center on Fanduel where it's like 3.5K or something like that, but there is an opportunity cost and it's not that much more for other guys, and the cap is a little bit looser. So I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'm probably not. I haven't ran anything. I haven't seen what our projections are. Let's see. Yeah, Cauley-Stein is 3.7 on FanDuel. He's a guy that can get like 3 or 4 blocks too, and he's basically on his way. But then it comes down to opportunity cost. But like you're saying, let's see, who's our highest projected center as far as just actual points this evening? Is it
I'm guessing
Bam.
Gobert.
Bam's a center on DK, and he's only a center too for what it's worth. And Gobert at 7.4K. Did you talk about the Heat? Jimmy Butler, man, 3 games in a row. Jimmy Butler has set a triple-double. He's been awesome. He's been a phenomenal player, probably a better play on Fanduel than he is on DK, just kind of the way things work and as far as the build. And again, they're going to be especially without Hero. Jimmy's got a really good shot at getting his 4th triple-double in a row. So I'm good with him. And Bam, of course, is a pretty good distributor for a big man as well. I think Hero, if he's out, Nunn will get a little bit of a bump as well. You're probably throwing darts. I can't imagine I would get to like Strus or Vincent. They'll get a little bit of run, but I just can't see that happening. Eric Gordon on FanDuel specific is way too cheap. He's like 5.3. I think he's good on DK. I think he's really hard not to play on FanDuel. Did we talk about Gordon and Wall? Because like both those guys should have monster days.
Yeah, like Wall is just, I think he's is he the top projected point per dollar guy? Yeah, he's over on DK is the top projected point per dollar guy on the entire slate. Going to be heavily owned, but I still think that he's worth it. Like, he should crush here without Cousins in there, without Oladipo. Like, he's been on a little bit of a tear recently. And he's just going to be doing everything in the offense. I mean, over 20 shot attempts in each of the last 3 games. Probably expect that and then some tonight. So matchup versus Chicago, obviously fast-paced matchup, not a bad defensive matchup, and he's a guy that I definitely want to use. But yeah, Gordon is definitely a guy I think can put up a massive night. They're going to need him for scoring. He should be shooting a bunch. We've seen him put up 40 points multiple times over the last month or last few weeks even. So yeah, Gordon's definitely a guy that I think is very much in play on the slate. Yeah, you're right. Cheap, way too cheap over on FanDuel. But yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you.
Have we talked about Lillard yet? Like, Dame Lillard's playing tonight, and I think he's going to be lost because Luca and LeBron are basically the same price and just pop more. Dame can always put up like 40, like just actual real life points in the bucket. We saw he put up like 25 the other day just in the 3rd quarter. And that's I'm probably going to be not have enough. I don't love the matchup there against Phoenix necessarily. In that game in general, I'm really not on a ton. Like, Ayton, I think's got a pretty decent price, but again, he's a center. I don't like when Booker and Paul are both playing. They kind of sort of eat at each other, but of course, against Portland, I like that matchup. Covington's been on fire, but it's really hard to justify that price, especially on FanDuel. I know he's a stocks monster, but $7K for Covington. Cantor's fine, but like not special. And Melo Trent's appropriately priced, DJJ appropriately priced. That whole game is just, I don't know. And then the Phoenix, they can run out like 11 dudes, like just they have so many bodies as well. I can't get excited about it. I know it's a big total. I know we want to pick on Portland, but it's just sort of there. It's fine, but not something I have to target.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Like, CP is probably my favorite play over on Portland. Like, Ayton does get a good matchup, but it's still like not great. I think it's predominantly just Chris Paul for me. Although Booker is a little interesting over on Super Draft, where it's at 1.55 multiplier. I think that's too low. I don't have a problem with stacking that game. I don't have a problem with using Lillard and bringing it back. Although I expect this game to be close regardless. So yeah, Chris Paul is probably the main guy. Like, he's just a little bit too underpriced for this matchup. That's just fantastic, and he's the guy that I would want to go with on Phoenix if I'm bringing it back.
Looks like we're gonna have Devin join the show in just a second. If you guys haven't been compiling, I'm not sure if you mentioned it before. Everybody just kind of knows at this point, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, if there's any players we haven't talked about, we're not like ignoring them intentionally. You can't talk about everybody. Maybe you guys talked about somebody when I was gone. Ask us, what your thoughts on X, Y, this guy or that guy, or even broader questions. We like those as well when it pertains to the slate. Tell us though, like what slate you're talking about. You're talking cash, talking tournaments. Devin's coming on in just a minute or so, but I did run 150 lineups on Fanduel and on DK using our lineup HQ and putting it at no more than 70% per player. Fanduel, like maybe I put it, whatever. We have Gordon at 68%, LeBron at 69% of lineups, SGA at 58%. Man, Ayton at 48%. This is Fanduel specific. And let me see who's popping as far as DK. So this is interesting. LeBron, Wall, duh. Then THT at 48% of optimals right now. Wow, like that's not something you normally want to play when he's going to be popular, but also he's facing Washington and they're kind of sort of somewhat thin. But the floor is rough. Anything interesting kind of jumping out for you? Also, we have Winslow at 38%. I think we have projected at 22 minutes. I think that's the most recent projection. And Boban actually got a projection. Get excited.
6.07. Good old Boban.
Any thoughts as far as some of those names I threw your way, or and the Dallas guys too? I don't know if Keats spoke to.
Yeah, so I think I don't think WCS has been updated yet, but I have a feeling that he's going to start popping into some of the optimals. Would be my guess. So like he's sitting there at 3.2K. We currently have him projected for 16 minutes. I'm guessing that'll go up to 20, which will make him more of a viable play. But yeah, like it's THT you're not happy about playing. Like I said, I like Winslow today. Like I'm just kind of banking on him coming in and having fairly decent amount of usage. Even if he only plays 20 minutes, I think that he's the better play of the really cheap guys outside of maybe WCS now. But yeah, it's just kind of how the slate is. Like you want to pay up, you want to play Wall, you want to play James, you want to play Luca. And way to do that is play PJ Tucker, play Winslow, play THT, play Caruso, play KCP, play WCS. Like it's just how this slate is going, and it's how you're kind of forced to do it.
All right, let's bring on Devin. Devin, I assume you come with a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I do. Still collecting them actually. So Dean, talk for just a minute.
Oh, sure, we can do that. Yeah.
Can you hear the dogs playing with? They got a hold of a squeaky toy upstairs. I thought I tossed all those.
Take away the squeaky toy when you're on air. They don't know the rules, the house rules.
I normally toss all the squeaky toys. I don't know where they found it. They might have been searching through the yard and had it stored there just for a day to screw me over.
Are you
How many dogs talking about?
Are you collecting dog toys like you collect the hotel shampoos?
I do have like 10. I can't have ropes anymore because they'll like shred it, and then I just have rope all over the floor. So yeah, the squeaky toys are just annoying.
All things said by a serial killer.
I bet you also bite straight into your string cheese. You don't peel it off like a
insane person. Insane person. That is.
Do you bite into your string cheese?
No, I don't. I peel it.
Okay, yeah, that's a dead.
I had one buddy who very clearly probably a psychopath just based on this. He's like, no, it's called a cheese stick. Don't call it string cheese. You just bite it. I'm like,
it's not called a cheese stick.
I mean, call it a cheese log, and yeah, I eat it. I don't string it.
Wait, what? You bite straight in your string cheese?
Yep. I'll throw it all out there. It's all on the line.
Oh man, I'm
a biter.
Reconsider everything about Devin.
I have lost so much respect for you.
I just go.
Chat, how
I
do
just
you
go
eat
for
your
it.
string cheese?
I can't.
Let's
I can't.
ask the chat.
There are some things I take my time with, like a Reese's cup. I'll take it out of the cup. I'll put it around the little wrapper, and then I'll take a little bite, or I'll just go for it. But no,
You're saying you'll take your time by not eating the wrapper? That's taking time.
No, not eating. I'm saying like hold it with the wrapper. It's like I'll have like a little bite on it.
Why you're so busy in your life? You have to save like 17 seconds where you can't pull string. What else? I mean,
no, it's not that it's saving time. It's that I prefer a little. I feel I'm just a mouthful of cheese. I'd rather do that than little strings of little cheese strings.
Dude, I specifically buy cheese that is super thin cut because it just tastes better.
I don't know. I like my flavor. What can I say?
Oh,
but I
just buy a block of cheese and take bites off of it. Although I have done that many times.
You go to the deli, you don't get it sliced. You just get like
just give it to me.
Just hand me a block.
Hand it over. Just wrap that up.
Yes. Could I get a block of cheese?
I do have the questions now. Let's start with Eric. I'd like to know, is Clarkson the best play on the slate for DK tournaments? Immediate
Clarkson. No.
Hey, Clarkson?
Yes.
No. Jordan
Clarkson.
No.
All right.
Why would he be the best player in the slate? What am I missing?
Hey, it's DK tournament.
I assume that he's got, like with Conley back, it's going to eat into his minutes a little bit, eat into his usage a little bit. The way they do the rotations is going to be a little bit off, and he's still priced up for Conley being out. So, yeah, he can go off for a massive game in any given night because he likes to eat up everything on the court. But the minutes aren't going to be there as much, and the usage is going to go down a tick. So at 6.1K, chances of him getting 40 are almost none.
JWC would like to know, as the cheap plays are trash for DK tournaments, would you do a mid-range build with no stud? Highest price on the lineup would be Levine. Houston, Chicago game stack.
I don't hate that. Like, you don't have to play LeBron or Luca. They're going to come in at very high ownership, especially LeBron. So, yeah, going with Levine, Butler, Bam, is not the worst idea in the world because you can still get some decent guys in the 7 and 8K range. And really, you're not even hoping for them to go absolutely bonkers. You're just kind of hoping for either the duds, to the super cheap guys, to fail, and LeBron just to put up a normal night.
All right. K-Mac wants to know, Fanduel tournament, would you do Westbrook or Beal, and is Mo Wagner going to get some run tonight?
I'm not a Mo Wagner, and I'm like Westbrook and Beal. I'm not playing them on DK, not playing them on FanDuel. I think you can play Westbrook over on Yahoo and over on SuperDraft, and that's pretty much it.
And there was a SuperDraft question that was Adebayo versus Porzingis, but that is no longer a question. With
Adebayo.
Yeah, easy.
It's bam, bam, go.
Nailed it.
Don't even have to play on SuperDraft to get that one. FanDuel tournament for Marcus, best power forward, sub 4K.
I mean, Kleber's the chalk, right? That's the best play, sub 4K. I know I stole your question, Grant, but it's Kleber. I don't know who else it could be.
DJ Tucker.
Just bursting with answers over there, Dean. Just gotta jump in.
Well, I mean, I saw an opportunity, I pounced. I mean, PJ Tucker, best anything. But yeah, there's really it's supposed to be Kleber. But obviously the other
except for his 4.3K.
No, he's 3.9. He has FanDuel.
No. Well,
boom.
Okay. Somebody's listening.
Somebody got served.
K-Town's Finest wants to know, DK single entry, would you play Kuzma for a 45-point low on play?
45-point low. What does that mean?
There were some limbs that they went out on with this question, so just
is he going to get 40?
Keep that in mind.
Mean, he's kind of expensive on D. Oh wait, I'm stealing your question. Go ahead, Grant. Gotta be quick.
There's an NBA Top Shot drop that was supposed to happen.
When is it happening now? I gotta get in.
I'm checking. I'm checking, guys.
I need my Top Shots.
Yeah, it looks like it's postponed. But it was going to drop in 5 minutes. Yeah, well, I mean, one pack is worth what, 20 grand now, pretty much, on average.
No, they're worth $9.
Grant, can I read a tweet somebody sent me? This is amazing.
Yes.
It says, "Stop taking crap from Grant. He fell apart without you holding his hand when you lost power." This guy is your classic high school bully. All hot air.
That is great.
Can you please put all hot air in your Twitter bio going
all
forward?
Hot air.
I like how much people think that I just hate you.
You're so mean, Grant.
So K-Town's Finest.
I love it.
We don't have no Kuzma for 45 points. He's calling the under on that one.
I'll take the under in 45 points. Like, I mean, it's a weird way to frame a question. Like, yeah, if he gets 45 points, then play him. But I don't think he does. He can.
Yeah, I don't mind Kuzma as a play tonight, but I'm not over the moon about it.
All right.
Again, more in play over on Super Draft at 1.7.
Speaking of the moon, Top Shot.
Yeah, right. To the moon. For tournaments, what pieces of Lakers and Wiz are interesting outside the studs for Michael?
I mean, interesting is Caruso, THT, KCP, Montrezl, Gasol. Like, they're all interesting. They're not great.
All right. James asks Dean, what about the Hayward revenge game tonight?
Yeah, I'm not terribly enthused. Graham is he officially out? Graham, I assume he's out, but they're all sort of priced where they should be. He's okay, but I'm not seeking it out.
You're not expecting 30 real life points from Rozier?
I'm not. Is that another thing that somebody's framing, or is that a bold proclamation you made when I was gone?
No, that's just what he's hit in the last 4 games.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that. No.
I bet the over on his prop, but it was 21.5.
Eric wants to know, is Boban night? And that was the question, is Boban
night? It's definitely a possibility, and let's be honest, everything's trash at that. He still might play 4 minutes and get 2 more points than KCP.
I'll have a hard time clicking. I love Boban, but I'll have a really hard time clicking on that name. But, Valanciunas is a big boy, and they need somebody to handle it. But I assume they're going to start WCS, and we'll see. But Boban, in theory, can get there in 15 minutes.
Minutes are not created equal, and Bobans are at the top.
They're created spectacularly, but they're just so rare. They're like a I don't know. I was going to make another Top Shot reference. What are the rare?
No one is better than Boban. I almost bought an Boban Top Shot.
Of course.
I really wish I would have.
I almost did too, but I'm just like, how is this worth $400? Like, the guy is fun, but he's not a good basketball.
It's all Monopoly money right now.
I know.
Okay, you said it's not a good basketball player. You're insane.
I mean, when compared to like other basketball players, not compared to like the accountant.
Marcus wants to know, this one's for you, Dean. FanDuel Cash, how many Houston is too many Houston?
Well, you got to play Gordon. I think you're going to play Wall. I don't know if you play anything else. I like Tate a little bit, but I don't know if he necessarily fits the build. He's a good stocks guy as well, and I think Tate gets a good bit of run here. I don't think you play Tucker. I don't think so. I think you're playing Kleber. So it's probably just Wall and Gordon. But again, I haven't done my refreshes and all that.
Well, I want to buy a Boban.
Say it again?
I want to buy a Boban Top Shot.
What's the going rate?
$228 for the cheapest one.
It'll probably drop.
Not after tonight. He puts up 45.
FanDuel tournaments for Moses wants to know, favorite 6K play to 7X.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Trez, just off the top of my head, but probably Ayton.
All right, Gopher would like to know, Ingles FanDuel tournament. Any interest?
No,
I'm not going to play Jingle and Joe. I don't anticipate it.
Josh wants to know best DK tournament guard spot under 5'4".
Under 5'4". Let's see.
How low can you go?
And knowing Dean, he's going to say someone that's more than 5'4" because he doesn't understand numbers.
And then
you don't understand.
You'll be inevitably
that
looking at
person's lineup
FanDuel.
is not locked. They can do a 2v2.
That's not what they're asking. Under 5'4" is probably my favorite is Winslow. But you don't want to leave that much money on the board.
If you have 300 more, Kendrick Nunn, especially if Hero doesn't play, is 5'7".
Hey.
Oh, wow. He did do that.
Well, I mean, you called me out to do it, so you set me up. You
can't follow it up with messing into it. You'd be walking right into the trap.
It's an awkward price. There's nobody really there. Like the Dallas guys are significantly under, and like Hardaway.
Well, that's probably why he's asking us this question, because he's having a hard time figuring out, and he has 5.4K with 1 spot left.
But you're not going to leave 1K on the table and play Maladon.
No, you're not. Which is why I said the best one under 5.4K is Winslow, but I mean, you're not going to do that because you're not going to leave money.
You think it's more helpful to give him somebody that's 2K under than it is to say somebody that's $300 over?
Yeah, because then he can be like, I'll use that, and then I'll upgrade LeBron or upgrade to LeBron.
He could say, I'll plug in Nunn and I can just downgrade this. Right? It's the same. Go ahead, Devin.
Dustin would like to know, is Conley a nice pivot tonight?
All hot air.
Conley, no, I don't think he's going to get enough
man.
minutes.
Alex wants to know Fanduel tournament, Roby or Crowder?
Roby.
Roby's been talking up Top Shots. If you want to break a tie.
Yeah, I think I have 6 of his moments.
Really?
Terrence Ross also too.
Nahal so astutely put it, it's called string cheese for a reason. And this is, I guess, why I don't get string cheese very often.
Yeah, he's saying that to you. You realize?
Oh
right?
yeah, no, I got the message loud and clear. But it also it bears mentioning that I can't remember the last time I've had string cheese.
Oh, you're too highfalutin for that.
Yeah, well, pinky out, Dean. Jason would like to know DraftKings tournament, Wall or Morant?
Wall.
If we have time, does Dean have a Top Shot story yet? We have just about a minute left. Do you have a Top Shot story for us, Dean?
I mean, I sold my LeBron the 3-pointer where he called his shot and bet $100 against Dennis Schroeder, and I loved it. And it's the last I saw, it's over 1,000. I sold it for like 250 or something like that. And
I sold my LeBron for 350 on the advice of you, and now it's going over 3,000.
Which LeBron was that?
Top Shot Shark should go on Dean's Twitter now.
I'm still like well ahead, but like I still feel like I left money on the table.
It was the dunk.
Dean says, I'm ahead, but Grant's behind, and that's really all that matters.
I mean, I put in $40, and I've got like $4,000. So
Devin, you tell the people how much do you have right now invested? How much? What are they saying? That
I have put
worth?
in like less. I was actually thinking about this. I've put in maybe 100, 150 of my own U.S. American dollars, as you like to say, Dean.
Yeah.
And I think mine's at like 20K right now, which is just.
Wow.
It sounds like not real. It doesn't seem like it would exist. Like
that's
I said,
that's an American dollar.
It's a Monopoly money situation. I just feel like I'm like playing a game and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it's not real.
It's a good thing. It's really easy to withdraw. I've heard that the withdrawal process is super simple.
I did have to knock out my identity check, and it was a lot easier than people make it out to be. So,
height, weight, it's a whole thing. So that's the show, Devin.
That's it.
I don't know if we left off any questions, but we gotta go because you have to. All right. Well,
it's unfortunate, but sometimes it happens.
Thank you for picking up and powering through. And my power went out. My apologies on that. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. Tell Grant what a bully he is on the Twitter machine. Grant, what's your Twitter?
Beanie for 07.
Like he just tells what it is. Sure, you could have given him like Devin's or something like that. Devo Kanivo. Yeah, thank you for everybody watching the show. Do it, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You guys are pre-members. Stay tuned for Crunch Time. You get Andy Means, you got Tuttle, you got Roth. Any new news, they will break that down for you guys. That was Grant. That was Devin. This was basketball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Hold. Thank you.